Welcome to the Start With Who podcast, where we explore how understanding who you are shapes the way you lead, work, and live. I'm Joe Shannon with Newton Institute, and I'll be joined by Rick Newton as we bring reflective conversations, real-world stories, and practical insights to help you start with who in every area of life. Our goal is to help you discover your unique design and elevate your life, leadership, and legacy. It's great to have you with us. Let's get started with today's episode. So here's a strange question to start today's episode, Rick. Do you actually know how you like your eggs? Hold that thought if you're listening, because by the end of this, that question is going to mean a lot more than just breakfast. Rick, you're the one who can connect the dots for us on that. And last time you teased the biggest obstacle people hit when they start with who. You called it head trash. Can you share more about that?
Yeah, this whole topic of head trash is a big concept. And if I can put it simply, head trash is the term that we use for lies and limiting beliefs we've come to accept about ourselves, about other people, and about the world around us.
So when you say lies, limiting beliefs, help those listening understand exactly what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so it may be called by lots of different names, but really what I'm talking about is your inner critic. Some people would describe it as imposter syndrome. We all deal with it, and no one can really escape whether that's imposter syndrome or that inner critic.
Yeah. So I guess basically things we believe that ultimately aren't true, maybe big common things like I'll never be able to stand up on stage and give a talk. I'll never be able to finish this book I'm writing. I'm not good enough to be effective in this role. Then some much deeper things as well.
Yeah, well, those things actually hit close to home, Joe. And here's the thing: head trash is sneaky. You don't always know it's there until you experience something out of the ordinary, often in unexpected ways. It's the panic that hits when you don't have an answer in a meeting, the guilt you feel for saying no when someone asks you to help, the hesitation to speak up with an idea that you're passionate about, the restlessness you feel when you finally try to slow down, and the constant comparison of yourself to other people. These are symptoms that something is happening beneath the surface, that there is some root lie you're believing, something like, I'm not enough, or it's not okay to fail, or I don't deserve any attention or praise, or I have to put on a show because you won't like the real me.
Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that isn't talked about very openly. I know a lot of people throw around the term imposter syndrome, but I think a lot of leaders listening to this would say, yeah, I experience those symptoms. Sometimes I have those kinds of thoughts, maybe at lots of different levels. Let's dig in a bit further. What's the connection to our work here? Why is head trash specifically such a big barrier to starting with who?
Yeah, so remember how we described that if you aim for the moon and are off by just 1 degree, you'll miss it by 4,000 miles? We use that metaphor to describe how important it is to answer the who question to live a life of meaning and purpose. But that same analogy applies to head trash as well. If there is some lie you are believing about yourself, you won't be able to fully embrace your unique identity. And let me give an example from my own life. When I got my MBA, that experience revealed part of my design and identity as an entrepreneur. It stirred something in me to want to own and run my own business. But as I started thinking about starting my own business, I kept having to face the fact that in my mind, I'm not a good public speaker, especially when I compared myself to one of the CEOs I worked for. He was incredibly confident, and I'm sure you know the type, a smooth talker, quick on his feet. When asked hard questions, he always had the right answer. And I always felt he was a big reason we won so many deals with big clients. Now, maybe others who heard me speak and deliver proposals would say, hey, Rick, you did a good job. But all I could see was how far away I was from this CEO that I admired. I could never deliver a proposal like him. And I felt that disqualified me from being a successful entrepreneur.
Yeah, that really rings true. And I mean, it sounds like comparison. Comparison was the driving factor in whether or not you thought you'd be good at something, just comparing yourself to somebody else.
Yeah, if you just think about it, here I discovered that part of my design was to be an entrepreneur. I'm a big picture thinker. I don't mind taking huge risks. I'm very customer oriented and employee service oriented. And I love to take bold action when the opportunities arise. But this one lie that I believed about myself was keeping me from starting my own business, from operating out of that part of my design. And I've lived this out over and over again. Head trash distorts how we see ourselves and can keep us not only from operating authentically from our design, but from also fulfilling our purpose in life. And until you address this head trash, it quietly runs the show underneath the surface.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just that phrase, it distorts how we see ourselves. And as we're working together editing the book with Anna, one example you refer to in the book is from a famous movie, The Runaway Bride. Talk to us about Maggie, right? Why does Maggie's story stick with you enough for you to include it in the book?
Yeah, so I guess that movie might date me a little bit, but I thought it was very appropriate to include in the book. But Terry and I have watched our share of romantic comedies over the years, and Runaway Bride, the one with Julia Roberts and Richard Gere, this was their follow up from their famous Pretty Woman movie. That's one of our favorites because underneath the romance is a really powerful story about identity. So in Runaway Bride, Julia Roberts plays Maggie Carpenter, a small town hardware store owner who becomes known for leaving three different men at the altar. And when she gets engaged for the fourth time, a New York journalist, played by Richard Gere, I think he goes by Ike Graham, he actually shows up to her small town to investigate what's going on. And he interviews Maggie's former fiancés to figure out why is it that she runs away, and even interviews her current one that she's currently engaged to. And at the end of the interview, he asks them all the same question. How does Maggie like her eggs? One says fried, another says scrambled with salt and dill, and another says poached. And every single one of them finishes with the same line, same as me. And then he watches it happen in real time. Maggie's current fiance orders a garden omelet, egg whites only, and Maggie orders the exact same thing.
So it seems like the eggs are a bit of a symptom, right? How she likes her eggs becomes this symbol of something much bigger.
Yeah, exactly. So the eggs aren't the point. The eggs are the symptom. Maggie's real problem wasn't fear of commitment. Her real problem was that she didn't know who she was. It's clear that she had never taken the time to think about the question, who am I, for herself, at least not in the context of what others thought. So with every relationship, she shape shifted into what each man wanted her to be. She morphed her preferences, her opinions, her tastes, even something as simple as how she liked her eggs to match the person sitting next to her. And when the wedding day came, something inside of her sensed this just isn't me. The person that she was about to marry didn't even know who she was because she had morphed to fit what they wanted in a spouse. So she ran. She wasn't afraid of marriage. She was afraid that she was about to commit for the rest of her life to being a version of herself that wasn't actually her.
It's a really haunting picture because I mean, I'm sure a lot of people listening, maybe most people listening, can relate to that feeling, even if they've not actually been in that specific situation, not left somebody at the altar, right?
Yeah, 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 absolutely. I know exactly what it's like to lose yourself in the roles that other people expect you to play. That's what head trash does. It keeps us walking out who we think we're supposed to be instead of who we actually are. And for leaders, this is especially dangerous because most of us, when we step into leadership, we don't actually start leading from our authentic design. We lead from a borrowed template. Um, we copy the leadership style of the boss we admired. We try to communicate like the smooth, charismatic CEO we saw on the stage. We mimic somebody else's playbook because the lies in our own head say, you can't do it your way. That won't work. You have to do it their way. And the result is that we're leading like Maggie was dating, performing instead of being. And the reality is you can be a pretty successful leader doing that. And I was for 20 years, but it costs you. and the people you lead can sense it, even if they can't name it.
Yeah, I love what you said there, right? People can sense it. Other people just they can see. You can just see it plain as day. And we can put up this sort of facade that isn't real, and people around us know something isn't right either. So if we want to live and lead authentically, it sounds like we have to, I don't know, deal with this head trash. So where do you start with that? How do we actually take out the trash? What does that really look like?
Yeah, so first, I think the most important thing that I've learned, and this is huge, is that when head trash comes up, it's actually a good thing. When it came up in me, I used to think it was a bad thing, something I needed to ignore or suppress. But when that comes up, it's actually a gift because it's an opportunity to deal with something that's holding you back. The symptoms you experience, like backing away from starting a company or getting extremely nervous before you deliver a presentation, point to some underlying head trash. And second, you can't just stop believing a lie. A lot of people think, well, once I see the lie, I'll just decide not to believe it anymore. And I'm sorry, it just doesn't work that way. The lie is often too deeply embedded. It's been reinforced, usually over years, sometimes decades, in your mind. And so recognition is only the first step. Recognition alone doesn't change you. The only way to take out the trash is to make sure it doesn't come back, is to replace that lie with the truth.
Replace it with the truth. Can you say more about that?
So for every lie, there's a corresponding truth. For example, for me, one of the big pieces of head trash was I'll only be accepted by others if I'm perfect. I've dealt with a lot of perfectionism over the course of my life. And that included if whether or not I could deliver a presentation at the same level that I've seen others do that. And the truth that replaced that lie was I have worth, regardless of my performance. I'm valuable because of who I am, not because of what I do. And that's the truth I had to write down, say out loud, share with people who loved me, and remind myself of it over and over again until it started to take root. And here's an important nuance: lies don't die easily, they're stubborn. They need to be replaced repeatedly. So this isn't a one-time exercise, it's an ongoing practice.
Yeah, yeah. And you said replacing the lies with the truth is how you get rid of head trash. Just dig a little bit more. What does that really look like practically?
Yeah, so one thing I mentioned, but I'll add some more depth, is that what I've discovered is the power of community, having close relationships to help you deal with this stuff. It's good to name the lie and the truth that needs to replace it, but you need to process that with others who can affirm what is really true. Again, we can be our own worst critic. And so I processed a lot of this with Terry, my wife, with close friends and colleagues, and they helped to reinforce the truth, speaking it out loud over me again and again, and even helping with nuggets of wisdom to overcome those lies. Another example of this is you've seen me do a lot of public speaking over the years. And the one thing you've helped me with is that it's about the message, not the messenger. That's something that you repeat to me just about any time I do some kind of public speaking. And what I've found is that when I focus on myself and how others might perceive me, I get lost in the head trash, even to the point that I want to run away from the opportunity to tell others about the Start With Who message. So when I focus on the message, something that I'm deeply passionate about, I start to relax and I get out of a performance and people pleasing mode. And yes, I play an important role in getting that message out, but it's the message that will carry the day, not the messenger. So, Joe, you've helped me immensely, helping me to take out the trash, recognizing that the message will resonate more if I'm just myself, not trying to be someone else. And, through that process, that requires transparency with those around you. And it's very humbling. But these are things that we all struggle with. And I've learned that no one is able to walk out their calling outside the context of community. This goes deeper into our interior life, which can sometimes be painful. But the benefits of taking out the trash and operating authentically and aligned with your natural design are huge. It gets us out of our comfort zone so we can fulfill our purpose in life. And that doesn't just benefit us, it benefits others. It benefits the world around us in so many ways. And so I'm zooming out a lot here, but I really believe that the world needs each of us to show up authentically to solve some unique problem in some unique way, and taking out the trash is a necessary part of doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, as you're talking, it feels really significant. Could we talk a little bit more about the practical payoff? As you already said, right? Big picture, fulfilling your purpose, providing value to those around you, huge benefits. How else does an individual benefit from proactively dealing with head trash?
Yeah. So let's go back to something we talked about in the last episode, what we call the 3 C's: confidence, conviction, and contentment. Head trash actively destroys those 3 C's. Lies destroy confidence. They whisper to you that you're not enough, so you don't step up to when you have an opportunity to contribute. These lies undermine conviction. They lead you to overcommit, to saying yes to roles that just aren't aligned with your design. And these lies steal contentment. They keep you from being comfortable in your own skin, stuck in constantly comparing yourself with everyone around you. So when you take out the trash and replace those lies with the truth, the 3 C's are what naturally grow back in their place. You experience real confidence, the kind that's grounded in your identity, not in your latest accomplishment. You stop needing the next win to feel worthy. You experience real conviction, the kind that holds steady under pressure, and you can actually say no to things outside your design without flinching because you know who you are. And you experience real contentment, the kind that comes from being comfortable in your own skin, and you stop trying to be someone else. You stop people pleasing for approval. And that's the life on the other side of taking out the trash. And it's a life that's available to every person that's listening, but you're going to have to be willing to do the work in order to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to be willing to do the deeper work and go a little bit beneath the surface. And maybe just to link it back, this is what makes you a more effective leader too, right? Because now you're leading from who you actually are instead of from performance or from who you think others want you or need you to be.
Yeah, that's exactly right. When you lead authentically from who you are, with confidence, conviction, and contentment, the people around you feel it. There's no script, there's no act, you're just you. And people resonate with that type of authenticity. And here's something I've seen over and over again. When you stop trying to be someone else, you give the people around you permission to do the same. It's actually contagious. And that's how you build a flourishing team. That's how you build a flourishing organization. It all flows from leaders who've done this inner work.
Yeah, that's so good, Rick. And so as we wrap up this episode, what's one thing you want people to take with them?
Yeah, there's actually a few things. I'd say first, don't ignore the symptoms of head trash. Don't try to suppress the underlying lies that make you nervous, shrink back, or put on a show for others. If you're ignoring your head trash, you can't fully step into who you're designed to be and do what you're designed to do. Second, recognize all of us are carrying around head trash. It's part of being human, and it's a lifelong process to remove it. And finally, find just one person you're comfortable talking about head trash with. This may be a friend, a work colleague, a family member, a coach, or a therapist. There's nothing wrong with being able to process these things with somebody else. Again, we all deal with the same thing. And so we need others. We need a support system around us to deal with the limiting beliefs that hold us back.
Yeah, it's a really important, worth emphasizing again that we, especially as leaders, if we think, oh, it's lonely at the top, or I'm not really sure what to do with this, or I'm not really sure about the next steps, reaching out and getting even just one person to understand, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm dealing with. Can we talk about it? That's a great next step. As always, there's so much more we could talk about here, but let's end there for now. If you're listening to this and resonate with anything Rick has shared today, we'd love your comments or questions. We'd love to hear from you. Rick, how can people get in touch with you directly?
Yeah, so as I've said in past episodes, you can follow me on X, Rick Newton 777, or LinkedIn. You can also visit our website at newtoninstitute.com. Our personal compass program in particular on our Start With Who platform not only helps you to answer the 4 most important questions you'll ever ask. Those are the questions we covered in the last episode. It also helps you to begin the process of identifying and replacing your head trash. We also have the first 3 chapters of the book in draft form available at the newtoninstitute.com website. Just go to newtoninstitute.com/startwithwho book. In the next episode, we're going to talk more about the power of the compass and what becomes possible in your life and in your organization when you have all 4 points clearly defined and you've taken the time to deal with some of the head trash that comes up when you do that.
Sounds good, Rick. Looking forward to it. Thanks for joining us today on the Start With Who podcast. If today's episode sparked a question, please drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Please take a moment to rate the show, follow us, and subscribe so you're notified when new episodes are released. And if you'd like to learn more, visit newtoninstitute.com to sign up for our newsletter and explore what's possible when you start with who. Thanks again for being part of this journey. We'll see you in the next episode.